You got to be careful, very, very careful with people who throw religion in your face. People who lead the conversation always have to interject religion into something. You got to watch these people. You got to pay attention to these people. I'm telling you. In a Sigma male, we notice this type of shit. It's very, very, very interesting when and how people use their religion. It's always based upon their religion. It's very interesting when and how people use their religion to interject it into conversation, interject it into life. You got to pay attention to it. So when people a lot of times interject religion, it can be something really innocent as God is good. Okay. Well, let's break down that statement. First off, you have to believe in a God, one God, because you didn't say the gods are good. You said God is good. So now you have to believe in a singular God religion, a monotheistic religion. Okay. Secondly, God is good. Well, in my understanding of things, in order to know good, there has to be bad, right? In order for there to be up, there has to be... So now stay with me. So, one, God is good. That means that you're stating there's one God. Two, you're stating that God is good. Okay, there's a lot of good, great, beautiful things that we assess to God creating and providing. Okay. But in order to know good, you have to know bad. So you're now automatically interjecting that into the equation. In order for there to be good, and God is good, there has to be bad. Now, where does that come from? We'll come back to that. And then thirdly, what is the context of how you just use that statement? So I'll use, like, say, someone wins a sporting event, or someone wins an award or something like that. Or even something more real. You know, your kid was lost for a couple of weeks and, you were devastated and there was a big search out and you finally find the kid and you're overwhelmed with joy and you say God is good. Here's the problem with that statement. At the heart of things, you get where the person is coming from. To the core, you understand what the person is trying to say, and that's usually where people leave it. But you got to really think about it, where it's coming from. And this is a lot of times it's a Sigma male type trait. It's a lot of times what we tend to do. How did you use it? So when someone throws out that type of statement, like I say, you're interjecting that there's one God. You're interjecting that God is good, but now you're interjecting into the equation that there's bad that comes from somewhere. And say in this particular instance, your lost kid was found after 2 weeks and returned home safely. God is good. Yes. What about the fact that your kid got lost or was kidnapped or whatever the fuck happened anyway? What about those 2 weeks when you were tortured by not knowing what was going on? Was that from God? Or was that from somewhere else? That was from somewhere else, right? Because God is good. God is only good. That's the way most people, assess their religion. God is only good. Some religions say, no, God is everything, but we know generally how people are using it. So in those 2 weeks, when you were torn down with fear and worry and maybe even hopelessness at trying to find your kid, how did that relate to God? Now, I don't want to get into the whole discussion of is God real or is God good and bad or anything. That's way too deep a discussion what I'm trying to do right now. My point being is that if someone uses God in a situation where it's like, thank you for this glorious achievement, this glorious instance. At the heart of things, there's nothing wrong with that. We all do that. We all feel certain thanks. I'm thankful for this rain that's dropping down because it's going to help create and produce vegetation that people and animals will be able to eat off of. But my point being is when people bring up religion and how they bring it up, the context they bring it up, a lot of times they're not allowing for the hypocrisy in their religion. And so, like I said, that's part of the deeper discussion. I know where you're coming from. You're just thankful that your baby is home. I understand that. But when you interject religion, you a lot of times taint not only the discussion that you're having, because you're interjecting something that's a personal, an internal value that you can't then extrapolate out to the world. Because something good happened to me that I attribute to God, that doesn't mean that God is good. That God is good for everyone. If I send my son or daughter off to war and they come back home, God is good. They came back home. They weren't killed. What about the 10, 20, or 30 people that they killed? Is God horrible for them? You don't give a fuck about them. That's why you didn't mention God in terms of them being something bad happening to them. It's only something when something good happens to you. When something bad happens to you, you don't say, where the fuck is God? Hey, you fucking up. No, when something bad happens, that's attributed to something else. And that fucks up the whole equation. It doesn't, if you really think about it, it fucks up the whole conversation because you interjected something that's a moral value into something that is right here, right now, value. So, say politics. You have people that will bring up in the elections, Democrats, Republicans, conservative, liberal, whatever. You have people that will bring up God in terms of God has a plan. And it doesn't just have to be the election. It could be just life in general. Okay, just that statement in general. God has a plan. Okay, so let's combine God has a plan with God is good. When your kid was missing, when you were tortured by the unknown and thinking that your whole world was going to come crumbling down, you were not saying God has a plan. This world was full of evil. There's something wrong. God needs to step up and do something. Can you please get me out of this situation? Anything you could come up with where God has to take some action so that this horrible thing doesn't happen. But while that horrible thing was happening or in doubt, you weren't using God has a plan. People say God has a plan when they don't have a fucking answer for real life shit. Sometimes it's okay with real life shit to be like, I don't even know. I know what I feel. I know what I think. I know what I want. But in the reality of things, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I can't call it. But religion can't allow for that. You can't have a religion that's like, hey, everything is anything. That's a hippie religion. It's like, you can't allow for that. Religion and religious arguments, when people add religion into the conversation, they're adding something that's absolute, that allows for no variation, into something that is full of variation. Why did you do that? Why? Because you needed the comfort of something that you think is absolute, and it's not. It's fucking religion. It's, if I'm to be raw about it, made up shit. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in spirituality, meaning I believe that there are potentially higher spirits and higher entities that provide what we have, good and bad, but they put things in motion. And then we, whether through free will or not, like I say, all of this is a much deeper discussion than what I'm really trying to say. But whether through free will or not, me as someone who believes in spirituality, I believe that things are provided for us, and then we relatively go the path that we go. But you have to show love and respect and honor to what has been provided for you, and make sure as best as possible that it's provided for the people that come behind you. But the rigidity and the hierarchy and the dogma of religion, me as a segment man, I don't like it. It feels disingenuous because you always have to have a resolute answer for shit that you do not have an answer for. You do not have an answer for. And so when you do not have an answer, you know what you say? God has a plan. But when you're in that moment of uncertainty and fear, you can't sit comfortably and rest with, God has a plan. We might get strung up here today. They might burn us alive. They might kill and rape the whole village. We might get shipped off to slavery. God has a plan, right? Fuck out of here. So when people interject religion, they're interjecting something absolute into something that really did not, you didn't have to do that. So why did you? So let's talk about elections. I've heard people on the left and in the right, Democrat and Republican, liberal and conservative, I've heard them interject religion into political discussion. Politics is about policy. Who writes the policy? We write the policy in general. The people write the policy. Human beings. Human beings are fallible as fuck. We, if you want to be raw about it, we're dumb. We can be beautiful and we can achieve a lot of things, but we also do some dumb shit relatively based upon parts of our animal nature. So how the fuck are we going to write policy that's going to correctly benefit and be applicable to all of society or most of society? We're not. So we're going to write some laws, do some things that benefit some people and subsequently fucks over some other people. Lift some people up and puts a boot on some people's neck. And then if you are a decent human being, based upon your values, then you try to tweak and adjust the system. But if at any point in time, you can just pull out the religion card and slap it on the table and think that it's absolute and it applies to everything and all people, you're wrong. And you have now fucked the whole conversation up because somebody else pulls out their religion card and thinks that it's absolute. And you know what it's really akin to? It's like a poker game where somebody thinks that they're being cheated, so they pull out their gun. The next person pulls out their gun, the next person, and so now the whole table is full of people with their guns out who righteously think that they're the best shooter in the group and they're going to walk out of that situation alive, when really everybody's going to be dead. But that's how people use religion. And as a Sigma male, I see it so many times where people interject religion, and it's almost always because of two reasons. Now, I'm going to pause this right now for my commercial sponsor. My commercial sponsor today is my pockets. My wallet in particular, my accounts. So if you're willing today to put some money in my pockets, I can continue to do more. I'm just fucking with y'all. I just think it's funny how certain videos, somewhere in the discussion, they pause and they have like a sponsor and then whatever. So today's sponsor is my pockets. Go to mypockets.com/me. Send me whatever you want to send me. But getting back to what I'm saying, most people use, when they throw out religion in a conversation that's not about religion. Think about it. When people a lot of times throw out something religious in a conversation that really has nothing to do with religion, they usually do it for two reasons. One of two reasons. One of the reasons is they do it because it's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of uncertainty. And so they throw it out there as a way to seem strong or seem resolute or seem like they know through the storm, through the rain, it's going to be sunshine. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. We going to be all right. So a lot of times people throw out there something religious because through it all, God has a plan. Also in the fear, sometimes we'll throw out the world is going to shit and only God, this type of God who we practice in this type of way, only this God can save it. So it comes out of fear of either everything's going to be all right and I need to sound like I'm good, I'm okay, I'm certain, or this is the time, y'all, this is Armageddon, so we need to rise up and strike Satan down in God's name, in our God's name. The second way that people use religion is they use religion in terms of hierarchy. They use religion in terms of my religion, this religion is the right religion. It's the proper religion. It's the religion that's closest to God. It's God's religion. And they can claim to be tolerant by saying, oh, you can have your religion. It's down here. I mean, God's tolerant. We're tolerant. We're tolerant. That's what makes us up here. But your religion, it's down. You can have that. It's down here. Oh, you and your religion. So they use it in that type of way. Or with the belt, with the stick, with the paddle, they use religion and say, you're going to hell. You're fucking up. See, in the true religion, this is what you do. But look at what you're doing, and that's why you're going to hell. That's why we should rule over you. That's why we're superior to you. Here, let me show you the verses. Let me show you the wording in our holy book. You can throw your little bullshit away. We'll go ahead and light that shit on fire right quick. So they use it either in terms of fear, everything's going to be okay, God has a plan. Or you need to get on board now because God's killing all of this bullshit. Or they use it in terms of hierarchy, in terms of, oh no, we're tolerant, and so we're closest to God, and the things that we do and the way we carry ourselves are holy, even though we just sponsored and acquiesced to a war on the other side of the world, a war in our own backyard, but it's, it's to rid the world of evil. Or they use it in a hierarchy to say that, like I say, you're going to hell, and their religion is the true religion, and you need to be saved. How in the fuck is a flawed, fallible, fucking up all the time human being going to approach you and tell you that they found the true religion and you can be saved by following them? And then you follow them, knowing damn well that that person is fallible. They too will die, and there's nothing they can do about it. They too will transition out of that body into whatever else is after this world, after this body, and there's nothing that they can do about it. But you follow this person and you think that this person has discovered all the answers? It would be different. It's way different to me if someone truly, truly, truly believes that some type of spiritual entity, call it God, call it whatever name you want to use, it would be different if that person truly came to you, if you felt that person truly came to you in some type of form and directly communicated with you, and then you went on your way. Now, here's the thing. If they directly communicated with you and they said, hey, you need to do this because this will change the world, this will make the world a better place, get different people to follow you, this is what's real, go do it. And that God provides you no answers, just go do it. You just got hustled too. Whatever God it is that you answer to, that God just hustled you too. How are you going to give me something that's such a monumental decision? And then, like I say, an absolute. But then the uncertainties of it, you can't explain to me other than with, I have a plan. Anybody, man or spirit, that comes to you and says, do this life-changing, death-inducing shit, because I have a plan for you. Let me know. I can't even think of a good enough pun or quip to say. That's crazy that you would even follow that without any explanation, without any in-depth thought. And you get people all the time that the moment that you ask them to think about the fact that they just put out there an absolute, but then when I ask them that's like if somebody said, hey, if you add all odd numbers up, they turn into even numbers. That's a fact. And you say, okay, if you do add 3 plus 3, that's an even number. But what if you add 3 plus 3 plus 3? That's odd. And then the person is like, yeah, but see, you don't know. You don't know. Mathematics has a plan. The calculator, the teacher has a plan. Fuck that it says 9. Fuck that 3 times 7 is 21. That's 2 odds that make another odd. I said it's even. No. Mathematics has a plan, baby. You being hustled. You being swindled, man. Get the fuck out of here. Nature doesn't hustle you. Nature does what it does. And then you just adapt to it. To be raw about it, people don't swindle you. People do what they do, and you just adapt to it. But when someone's trying to swindle you, they have to find some way to come up with an absolute. And then find someone that will fall for that absolute. And then when you add in some simple questions like, but what about this? What about this? Oh, see, you're a heretic. You don't believe. You're a non-believer. Or, I'm just saying, but like, what about this? God has a plan. So you got to be careful about people that interject religion into conversations where religion was not necessary. They're doing that for a reason. It's a subconscious reason. They're doing that for a reason. And you need to peep that shit out.